paralyzed woman sat alone after being stood up. Then a stranger and his daughter asked to join her. The cafe smelled like warm bread and roasted coffee beans, the kind of scent that makes you believe the world still has soft corners. Maya Hart sat by the window, her hands wrapped around a cup that had long gone cold. She'd been there almost an hour now, smiling at her reflection in glass, pretending she wasn't checking the door every few seconds. She'd chosen that green dress carefully this morning. A little lipstick, her hair pinned just right. Hope is funny like that. It makes you do small, brave things. The door chimed again. She looked up. A man walked in. Her date. For a second, her chest lifted. He spotted her, then froze. His eyes flicked down at her wheelchair, and something changed in his face. He hesitated, like he'd walked into wrong story. Then he sighed. "I thought you could walk," he said quietly, like a complaint. "You should have said something." He turned, left a few coins on the table, and walked out. The cafe went still. Even the music seemed to forget its tune. Maya stared at the cup in her hands. The lipstick mark now a bruise of color on white porcelain. Around her, people whispered without words. And then, a tiny voice broke the silence. "Daddy, why is that lady sad?" A little girl stood by the counter, clutching a stuffed fox. Her eyes were wide, curious, unafraid. And in that fragile moment, when every adult pretended not to see, only a child did. That's how it began. The day a broken heart met a little girl with too much kindness to stay quiet. Maya's mornings were quiet. The kind of quiet that hums, not empty, just soft. She measured her days in small rituals. Coffee poured with her left hand, the sound of the kettle bubbling like a heartbeat. A bowl of fruit sliced into neat pieces. Music from an old speaker humming low in the background. These were her anchors, proof that the world could still be steady. She moved around her apartment with practiced grace, her wheelchair gliding across the wooden floor. Every motion was deliberate, learned. She knew exactly how far her arm could reach, how to balance a plate, how to hold the world together without letting it spill. Before the accident, Maya had worked behind the stage of a ballet company, not as a dancer, but as the one who made movement possible. She built sets that turned with music, painted skies that shifted from dawn to dusk in a single spin. She loved that magic, the illusion of flight. Then one summer night, a slick road and a flash of headlights rewrote everything. Metal folded, glass sang, and when the noise settled, silence took up residence where motion used to live. Doctors spoke gently, with that careful tone they use when trying to cushion truth. Her spine had been damaged. Walking again was unlikely. At first, she hated the chair. It felt like a sentence. But over time, months of therapy, tears, stubborn will, she learned it was not her enemy. It was the tool that kept her in the world. And Maya had no intention of leaving it. Still, she missed being seen. Not for her courage. Not for surviving. Just for being Maya, the woman who loved thunderstorms, mint tea, and terrible puns. That's why she said yes to the date. A friend had set her up, said he was kind, funny, someone who gets it. His messages had made her laugh. She had spent an hour choosing that green dress, another half hour deciding on earrings. When she looked in the mirror before leaving, she barely recognized herself. There was something different in her reflection, not perfection, but hope. She had whispered under her breath, half joking, half prayerful, "Let this be good." Then she rolled toward the door, heart steady, hands sure, wheels catching the light. Because even after everything, Maya still believed in beginnings. The man's footsteps faded before the door even closed. The little bell above it jingled once, cheerful, careless, and then silence fell like dust. Maya didn't move. Her fingers stayed curled around the napkin, crumpled soft from her grip. She could feel the weight of people not looking at her. That heavy, polite kind of quiet. The barista kept wiping the same spot on the counter. Two students nearby started whispering again, a little too quickly. Someone laughed, not cruelly, just awkwardly, the sound of people trying to pretend nothing had happened. Maya's stomach twisted. Her mind kept replaying it. You should have said something. Like she'd tricked him. Like her chair was a secret she should have confessed. She stared down at her tea. The surface had gone still, the steam long gone. She could see her reflection there, small, warped, tired. She thought about leaving, just pushing herself out into the rain and letting the door close behind her. But she didn't. Not yet. Instead, she straightened her shoulders. That old habit from therapy. Breathe, adjust, hold. Her chest rose slowly, and she let the air out in one long exhale. A couple glanced over. Their eyes met hers for a second. Pity, maybe curiosity, then slid away. It stung more than words. The room carried on like she wasn't there. Coffee machines hissed. Chairs scraped the floor. A song on the radio started playing. Cheerful, wrong for the moment. Maya forced herself to focus on the window. Outside, the street was shining from the rain, headlights blurring in streaks of gold. For a second, she let herself drift into that light, pretending she was somewhere else. Her chest tightened. Humiliation, sadness, anger all tangled together. But underneath it was something quieter, steadier, the will to endure. She didn't cry. She wouldn't. Instead, she whispered to herself, so low it barely counted as sound. Breathe. Just breathe. She lifted the cup again, even though it was cold. It gave her hand something to do, something to hold when no one else would. And then from across the cafe, a child's voice, clear and honest, cut through the hush. Daddy, why is that lady sad? The entire room froze again. Maya blinked, surprised. It wasn't the question that startled her. It was the tone. The child hadn't said it with pity, just wonder. For the first time since the man had left, Maya looked up, and that small, curious voice became the thread that would quietly pull her life towards something she never expected. Maya turned toward the voice. A little girl stood near the pastry counter, no more than 5 or 6. Her dark curls bounced around her cheeks, and she clutched a stuffed giraffe whose neck was patched with stickers. She looked at Maya with that kind of open, unfiltered curiosity only children have. Beside her, a man crouched down, mid-30s maybe, sharp gray coat, calm eyes that softened when he looked at his daughter. The girl tugged at his sleeve again. Daddy, can we help her? She whispered, not nearly as quietly as she thought. The man followed her gaze, then looked at Maya. For a moment, he seemed to weigh whether to step forward. Then he smiled, small, genuine, and approached. Hi, he said gently. I'm Ethan. This is Lily. Do you mind if we sit with you for a bit? Maya blinked. The offer was so unexpected that her first instinct was to refuse. She almost said, I'm fine, because that's what people said when they weren't. But something in his tone, not pity, not intrusion, just simple kindness, made her pause. Sure, she said softly. Lily climbed up on the chair opposite her, her legs swinging, her giraffe landing with a soft thud on the table. She opened her tiny backpack and pulled out a sheet of stickers. These are my smile stars, she said proudly. You can have one if you want. You look like you need sparkle. Maya couldn't help it. She laughed. It startled her, that sound. It had been buried for weeks. A sparkle sounds nice, she said. Lily peeled off a yellow star and carefully pressed it onto the back of Maya's hand. Now we match, she declared, showing her own hand covered in half-peeled stickers. Ethan watched quietly, a small warm flickering in his expression. Maya noticed the way his shoulders relaxed as he saw his daughter's joy, like it healed something in him, too. Lily began nibbling on a cookie, then broke it in half. You can have some, she offered. Daddy says share makes hearts lighter. Maya took a piece, her throat tight with something between laughter and tears. Your daddy's very wise, she said. Lily nodded solemnly. He tries. The cafe around them started to sound normal again, chatter, clinking cups, music softly rising. But for Maya, everything had shifted. What had begun as humiliation now felt like the quiet start of something else. Something she didn't yet have a name for. Ethan sat down slowly, careful not to break the fragile peace that Lily had built between them. The chair creaked as he settled, but his presence didn't crowd the space. It filled it just enough to make Maya feel less alone. For a moment, they just watched Lily line up sugar packets like tiny soldiers. Her focus was intense, her tongue peeking from the corner of her mouth. Then she looked up proudly. "They're friends," she announced. "They fall down together." Maya smiled. "That's one way to put it." Ethan chuckled. She has a habit of turning everything into a lesson about friendship, even breakfast cereal. Lily nodded seriously. "Daddy says friends help each other stand up again." Maya's smile faltered for a breath. The irony wasn't lost on her. Ethan noticed, but didn't mention it. Instead, he leaned back, tone easy, unforced. "I'm guessing today hasn't gone how you hoped," he said gently. Maya exhaled, her fingers brushing the rim of her cup. "That obvious, huh?" He shrugged. "Let's just say Lily's pretty good at spotting people who need company." Maya looked at the little girl, now sticking a sugar packet onto her giraffe's head like a hat, and laughed quietly. "She's good at a lot of things, I can tell. Mostly making messes," Ethan said, "but she's got a big heart. Comes with big opinions." Lily gasped dramatically. "I heard that." Maya laughed again, and this time the sound stayed. Something about the simple rhythm of their banter loosened the tightness in her chest. After a pause, Ethan asked softly, "Can I ask what happened?" "You don't have to tell me if you don't want to." She hesitated, then nodded. "I was supposed to meet someone. We talked for weeks online." He saw the chair and her voice trailed off. She didn't need to finish. Ethan's jaw tightened slightly, but his tone stayed calm. "That's on him, not you." She looked at him, expecting sympathy, maybe pity, but there was none, just quiet conviction. "You don't deserve that kind of smallness," he added. Maya stared at her reflection in her cold tea, then up at him. "It's strange," she said. "I used to hate when people felt sorry for me, but silence hurts more." Ethan nodded. "Yeah, sometimes it's not the words that do the damage. It's when people look away." Something in that hit her deeper than she expected. She met his gaze and found no awkwardness there, just understanding. Lily tugged on her dad's sleeve, breaking the stillness. "Daddy, can I tell her about Mommy's garden?" Ethan smiled softly. "Go ahead, bug." Lily turned to Maya. "Mommy's in heaven," she said, voice matter of fact. "But Daddy says when we meet someone kind, she smiles from clouds." Maya's breath caught. The words, so innocent and sure, pierced through the quiet ache in her heart. "She must be smiling a lot," Maya whispered. Lily grinned. "Cause of you, too." Ethan's eyes met hers again, steady, kind, unhurried. And in that crowded cafe, with crumbs and stickers scattered across the table, Maya felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Not pity, not loneliness, just connection. Real and steady, like a hand reaching out through the noise, saying without words, "You're still seen." Maya hadn't planned to stay. In her mind, she'd already left that cafe a dozen times. Out the door into the rain, down the street into the sting in her chest faded. But somehow she was still there, still sitting across from a little girl building sugar packet towers, and a man who didn't look away. Ethan was easy to be around, not in the effortless, too smooth way that made people suspicious, but in the quiet way that made you breathe easier, without noticing. He didn't try to fix her silence. He just sat in it with her. Lily was the opposite, a storm of words and crumbs. She talked about everything, her giraffe's secret names, her stretchy, how rain makes the ground smell like pancakes, and how her dad once burned toast so badly it looked like nighttime. Maya laughed until her sides hurt. It felt strange, that laughter, like discovering a room in her heart she'd forgotten she owned. When the barista came by to clear the table, Lily whispered something to her dad. He smiled. "Can we get one more cookie?" she asked, eyes wide, pleading. Ethan sighed, pretending to think it over. "Only if we share." Lily gasped. "You always say that." "Because it's a good rule," he said. The barista returned with a cookie big enough to eclipse the saucer. Lily immediately broke it into pieces and passed them around like some ancient ritual. "Cookie diplomacy," Ethan said with a grin, "solves most problems." Maya held the tiny piece Lily had offered her and smiled. "It's working." For a while, they just sat there, three people with nothing urgent to prove. Lily hummed a tune under her breath. Ethan sipped his coffee. Maya watched the rain slide down the glass like threads of silver. Ethan leaned back, studying her for a moment. You build things, right? Sets, props, that kind of art. Maya blinked. How did you? You mentioned painting skies, he said, his voice gentle. Only someone who's made them would describe them like that. She tilted her head, a little startled by how carefully he'd been listening. Yeah, she admitted. Used to. I haven't worked in months. Maybe you should again, he said. The world could use more skies. She smiled, the kind that sneaks up on you. You make that sound simple. Simple doesn't mean easy, he said, but it's where things start. Lily interrupted with a cookie crumb stuck to her nose. Daddy says I can do hard things, even tying my shoes. That's true, he said, brushing her nose. And you're getting better. Maya watched them. The way he listened to his daughter, like every word was worth gold. The way he looked at her, too, steady, without searching for the right thing to say. She realized then, this wasn't rescue. He wasn't swooping in to fix her or fill a silence out of pity. He was just there, present, real. When the rain finally slowed, the light outside shifted, soft late afternoon gold. Lily yawned, her energy fading. Ethan glanced at his watch. We should let you enjoy your day, he said, standing. Thank you for sharing your table. Maya hesitated, suddenly not wanting the moment to end. You don't have to, he smiled. We'll be back next Saturday. It's our cookie day. Lily waved her giraffe. You should come too. We can build sugar towers again. Maya laughed. I'll think about it. As they turned to leave, Lily leaned over and pressed another yellow star sticker into Maya's palm. So you don't forget Sparkle, she whispered. When they were gone, Maya sat there a little longer, tracing the tiny sticker with her thumb. The cafe hummed back to life around her, ordinary and alive. For the first time in a long while, she didn't feel left behind. She felt found, not rescued, just seen. And that was enough to start something new. A week later, the cafe felt different. Not because the lights were brighter or the rain had stopped, but because Maya wasn't waiting for someone who wouldn't come. This time, she was showing up. She rolled to the door, the familiar chime overhead, the scent of coffee and cinnamon wrapping around her like an old friend. And there they were, Ethan and Lily, sitting at the same table by the window, 2 cookies already on a plate, like they'd save her a seat. Lily spotted her first. You came back, she squealed, waving so hard her giraffe nearly flew. Maya laughed, parking beside them. I told you I might. You said think about it, Lily corrected, grinning. Thinking counts if it makes you come. Ethan smiled. We were starting to lose hope. I don't do maybes very well, Maya said, a hint of warmth in her voice. I'm more of a show up or don't kind of person. They talked easily, like they'd done this 100 times before. Small things, simple things, Lily's art project, Ethan's attempts at cooking, Maya's latest painting. The conversation flowed with a kind of quiet rhythm that only happens when no one's pretending. Then, between sips of coffee, Ethan said something that made her freeze. I used to work in theater too, lighting design, back before Lily was born. Maya blinked. Wait, which company? Westfield Stage Company, he said. Small place downtown. Her eyes widened. You're kidding. I built the sets for their winter show 3 years ago. Ethan's smile spread slowly, the kind that starts in the eyes. The one with the paper snowstorm? She laughed, startled, delighted. Yes, you helped rig that lighting grid. We nearly set the fake moon on fire. They both burst out laughing, the sound warm and full, like something long overdue. Lily clapped her hands. See? You already knew each other. Maya looked at Ethan, still smiling but softer now. Small world, she said. He nodded. Maybe not that small. Maybe just meant to cross again. The thought lingered between them, not heavy, not rushed, just real. Outside, the afternoon sun pushed through the clouds, scattering light across the window pane. Inside, for the first time in a long while, Maya felt the simple, steady truth of connection, not built from pity or luck, but shared history. 2 people who'd once worked beneath the same lights, now finding their way back to warmth, in a world that suddenly didn't feel so small at all. The third Saturday came with sunlight, the kind that makes everything look too honest. Maya almost didn't go. Something in her chest had started to ache. Not pain, exactly, but the kind of fear that whispers, "Don't get used to this." But she went anyway. Habit, hope, something in between. When she arrived, Ethan and Lily were already there. Lily was drawing on a napkin, humming to herself, while Ethan scrolled through his phone. He looked up and smiled when he saw her. That easy, steady smile she started to look forward to. "Hey, you made it," he said. "Of course," she replied. "Wouldn't miss cookie day." They talked for a while, light stuff at first. Lily's new obsession with space, Ethan's failed attempt at pancakes, Maya's painting that refused to turn out right. But underneath the laughter, something was different, a quiet current. At one point, Lily wandered off to the counter to pick her favorite pastry. The silence that followed felt too wide. Ethan looked down at his coffee, then at her. "Can I ask you something?" Maya nodded. "Sure." He hesitated, then said, "What are you here for, Maya?" The question landed harder than he meant it to. She blinked. "What do you mean?" "I just don't want you to feel like you have to be here for Lily. Or for me. I know we sort of crashed your space that first day." She felt a flicker of heat rise in her chest, confusion, maybe hurt. "I didn't feel that way," she said quietly. "I come because I want to." Ethan nodded, but his eyes were still searching. "I just don't want this to turn into something that feels like rescue. You don't need saving." The words hung there, honest but sharp. Maya's voice softened. "I know that. And for the record, I'm not here to be saved. I'm here because you and Lily make the world a little less heavy. That's all." He looked at her for a long moment, something unreadable flickering behind his calm. Then he exhaled, his shoulders loosening. "Okay," he said. "Good. I just needed to be sure." Lily came running back, waving a chocolate croissant. "They had the last one," she shouted. "I saved it for us." The tension broke like glass under sunlight. Maya smiled, her chest still tight but steady. She reached for the croissant and met Ethan's eyes again, and in that glance there was something raw, real, a truth neither of them could name yet. Not love, not yet, but the tremor before it. The question neither dared ask aloud. The next morning, Maya woke with a restless heaviness in her chest. She couldn't stop thinking about Ethan's question yesterday. What are you here for? And the way it had scraped against her defenses. When she arrived at the cafe, she noticed something unusual outside. A smooth wooden ramp leaned gently against the front steps, freshly cut, almost glowing in the soft morning sun. Her breath caught. She hesitated at the curb. Taking it in, it wasn't fancy. It wasn't flashy. It was simple, purposeful, a quiet invitation. Ethan appeared behind her, wiping his hands on a dish towel. "Morning," he said, voice low. "I figured you shouldn't have to wait to get in. Not if you want to come through the front door." Maya's eyes filled, but she blinked rapidly, forcing herself to stay steady. I don't know what to say." He shrugged, casual, as if it were the easiest thing in the world. "You don't have to say anything. Just use it." She wheeled herself forward slowly, her hands trembling slightly on the rims. The ramp held firm. Her chair moved smoothly, effortlessly, and she felt the tiniest thrill of freedom in the motion. Lily ran ahead, twirling in the sunlight. "See? Daddy makes things happen." Maya smiled, her hands still gripping the wheels tightly. She reached the top and paused, looking at Ethan. He didn't say a word, just watched, quiet, steady. "It's perfect," she whispered. Her voice was thick with something she hadn't expected. Gratitude, yes, but also relief, validation, not pity, just being seen. Ethan's eyes met hers. "It's your space too," he said softly. "You deserve to come in the same way everyone else does. No compromises." Maya nodded, the lump in her throat threatening tears she refused to show. She wheeled slowly into the cafe, Lily already bouncing toward her. The three of them sat together at the table, a rhythm forming that didn't need explanation. Coffee, crumbs, stickers, laughter, small things that suddenly felt monumental. Maya realized then, as she traced the edge of the ramp with her fingers, that the gesture wasn't just wood and nails. It was trust, care, recognition. She wasn't being rescued. She was being chosen. And for the first time in years, that choice felt like a home she could roll into, steady and real. The backyard felt alive that morning. Sunlight spilled to maple branches, catching dew on tangled leaves and wildflowers that had grown freely since Ethan's mother passed. It was chaotic, but beautiful, a garden that refused to be tamed. Maya wheeled slowly over the stone path Ethan had widened, each crunch beneath her wheels grounding her in the moment. Lily ran ahead, spinning, laughter spilling like sunlight itself. "This place," Maya whispered, brushing her fingers over a rose bush. "It's like a secret." Ethan stepped beside her, voice soft. "Mom used to say every flower is a second chance." Maya smiled at that, then glanced down at a small clay pot in Lily's hands. Inside, a bright purple pansy swayed gently. Lily placed it carefully in Maya's lap. "This flower needs you," she said with perfect seriousness. "Like we do." Maya froze. Her hands tightened around the pot. For a heartbeat, she felt the weight of all the months she'd spent rebuilding herself, all the walls she'd built to stay safe. And then she realized she wasn't being offered a second chance. She was being welcomed. "You're something else, Lily," Maya said softly, voice thick. "I know," Lily replied with a grin. For hours, they moved through the garden together. Lily chased sunlight and shadows. Ethan pointed out blooms and told stories of his mother, and Maya, for the first time in a long while, felt rooted. It wasn't just that they included her. It was that she belonged. Not as a project, not as a symbol, not as someone to fix, just as herself. The garden had grown wild, beautiful, alive, and in its chaos, Maya found reflection of her own heart, growing freely, chosen, and full of life. Even with the mornings in the garden and Saturdays at the café, a shadow lingered in Maya's chest. She loved the time with Ethan and Lily, but there were moments when the doubt returned, quiet, insistent, like a whisper she couldn't ignore. One evening, as rain tapped against her apartment window, Maya stared at her reflection in the dark glass. Who am I to them? She wondered. Am I just someone passing through? A distraction? A story they tell themselves to feel good? Her phone buzzed on the counter. A message from Ethan. Movie night tomorrow? Lily picked the film. She stared at it, thumb hovering over the screen. Part of her wanted to say yes. Part of her wanted to vanish before the fear caught up. She ended up going. The living room was warm, cozy, filled with the smell of buttered popcorn. Lily curled up on the couch with her blanket, Ethan on the floor with the snacks, and Maya in her chair between them. For a while, the world outside didn't exist. But during a quiet pause in the movie, Ethan glanced at her. "Maya, you've been a little distant. Are we okay?" Maya swallowed. "I'm just scared," she admitted softly. "Scared that you think I need saving. That I'm only here because you feel like you have to be." Ethan's expression soft and careful. "Maya, I don't see you that way. Never have. You're not a project or a second chance. You're you, and that's enough. Always has been." She looked down at her hands, still unsure if she could believe him. "I just need to know. Who are we to each other?" Ethan reached out, brushing a stray curl from her face. "Well, whatever we choose to be. But I can promise this. Whatever it is, it's real. And it's yours to define, not mine, not anyone else's." Lily, sensing the tension, tugged at Maya's sleeve. "Can we eat popcorn now?" she asked, wide-eyed and innocent. Maya laughed, feeling the knot in her chest loosen just a little. Maybe that's all it needed. Honesty, small moments, and a little courage to ask the hard questions. She leaned back, taking a deep breath, realizing that fear didn't have to decide her story. She could, and for the first time in weeks, that thought felt enough. A few days later, Maya arrived at Ethan's apartment to find a small package sitting on the table, wrapped in simple brown paper. Lily ran ahead, chattering about her day at school, but stopped abruptly when she saw Maya looking at the gift. "Is it for me?" Maya asked, her voice quiet, almost hesitant. Lily shook her head. "Daddy says it's for both of us." Maya carefully untied the twine and lifted the paper. Inside was a stack of bound sketchbooks, colorful and worn, clearly handled with care. She opened the first one and froze. Her own drawing stared back. Dragons with tiny wings, adventurous girls in wheelchairs, forests that shimmered with sunlight, the world she had once kept hidden. You printed them? She whispered, disbelief in her voice. Ethan nodded, leaning against the doorway, watching her. I found them in your folder when you were packing up. I showed them to the kids' publishing team. They loved them. Lily insisted we read them every night. Lily perched on the arm of the chair, eyes wide. The dragon with wings is me, she exclaimed. Maya blinked, laughing softly, tears threatening. And the girl in the wheelchair is me, she said, voice catching. Ethan stepped closer. You didn't just make books. You made worlds. You didn't perform kindness or bravery. You gave it, and it mattered. Maya traced the spine of one of the books, letting the reality sink in. These weren't gifts she had to earn. They weren't applause for surviving or for being brave. They were offered freely, chosen simply because she existed fully, unapologetically. I didn't expect this, Maya said, voice low, trembling. You didn't need to, Ethan replied. We didn't expect it either. We just saw you, and that was enough. For the first time in months, Maya realized that being seen didn't have to come with conditions. She didn't need to perform, to explain, or to earn love and care. It was given, unreserved, because she was already enough. She looked at Ethan, at Lily, and whispered, almost to herself, I've been waiting for this my whole life. And in that quiet apartment, surrounded by dragons, fairies, and a little girl's laughter, Maya finally believed it. That evening, Maya sat by the window, sketchbook open, but her hands weren't trembling like they used to. The world outside was soft with twilight, gold fading to blue, and for once, she felt steady. Her phone buzzed. A message from Ethan. Dinner tomorrow? Lily insists. She smiled, thumb hovering over the screen before typing back. I'll be there. The next day, the cafe smelled like cinnamon and fresh bread. Maya rolled through the door, and there they were, Ethan with his easy, steady smile, Lily bouncing ahead with her glittery backpack. You came, Lily squealed, throwing herself into Maya's arms. I did, Maya laughed, hugging her tightly. Ethan watched quietly, hand brushing against hers. When their eyes met, no words were necessary. The unspoken truth flowed between them. She wasn't broken. She didn't need to be rescued. You didn't fix me, Ethan, Maya said softly, voice steady. You chose me. He smiled, fingers intertwining with hers. Every single day, he whispered. Forever if you let me. And she did. Lily, standing proudly between them, looked up. Can we be a family now? Like in the books. Maya's eyes met Ethan's. He nodded, heart full. She nodded back, letting herself believe it. The cafe around them buzzed with life. But for Maya, time had slowed. She wasn't a project, a story, or a symbol anymore. She was seen, chosen, loved. Completely and unconditionally, they sat together, sharing muffins and laughter, the kind that fills the spaces left by fear. And in that moment, Maya understood something simple but profound. Love doesn't fix. It notices, it chooses, it stays. For Maya, Ethan, and Lily, the story wasn't about saving or being saved. It was about being chosen. And that made all the difference. Months later, Maya's world had settled into a quiet, steady rhythm. The mornings smelled of coffee and fresh bread. Afternoons were spent in the garden with Lily chasing sunlight and shadows, and evenings were filled with sketching and soft laughter. Her apartment walls, once bare, now held canvases of dragons, girls in wheelchairs, forests alive with color, a life she had rebuilt, piece by piece, stroke by stroke. One Sunday, she and Ethan sat on the porch, watching Lily weave between wildflowers, a tiny sunbeam of energy. Ethan handed her a mug of tea, their fingers brushing in a touch that no longer carried tension, only comfort. You see how she notices everything? Maya said, nodding at Lily. Ethan smiled. Yeah, she sees people, not labels. Remind me a lot of you. Maya's chest lifted with a warmth she hadn't felt in years. It wasn't grand gestures or dramatic moments that made life meaningful. It was this small things noticed and shared, a flower placed in her lap, a ramp at the front door, a hand held without expectation. She leaned back, tracing the rim of her cup, and realized that being chosen, truly chosen, didn't come in explosions of drama. It came in quiet mornings, laughter over spilled juice, and the simple assurance that someone would stay. Lily ran up to them, holding a tiny clay pot she had painted herself. "For you, Maya." Maya took it, heartful. "Thank you, Lily. You're magic." Ethan squeezed her hand. "And you're home," he said softly. For Maya, life wasn't perfect, but it was alive, rooted in small moments, and surrounded by people who saw her, really saw her. And sometimes, that was all anyone could ever need. A life of small things, carefully chosen, had become a life of belonging. And for the first time in a long time, Maya knew she was exactly where she was meant to be. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to Heartfelt Tales TV for more emotional journeys that remind us of the power of love, choice, and being truly seen. Hit the like button, share it with someone who needs a little hope today, and stay with us for the next story.